Hi, everybody. Welcome to Finding the Pieces. This is episode 3. I am here today with a special guest. I'm your host, Megan Friend, author of Sweet Girl Memoirs of a Special Needs Mom book that's available on Amazon, where I tell the story of how my daughter was diagnosed with Down syndrome, trisomy 21. She had a heart defect and was also diagnosed with severe nonverbal autism. Today, we're going to be speaking to my other daughter, Madeline's sister. This is Ellie.
Hello.
How old are you, Ellie?
I'm 10.
She's 10 years old, and she has been a sibling of a special needs sister.
Mm.
So they're sisters.
Yeah.
And she's been living this life for 10 years. So
Yeah.
she's got some experience in what it's like to be in a household and have to go to events or family get-togethers, driving in the car, etc., with a sibling who has a disability.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be discussing different topics that come about from parents. I think a lot of us parents assume that our kids who are born without special needs will just naturally be able to negotiate and live with their siblings with disabilities, but it actually takes a little bit more than that.
Hey,
There
Madeline.
is some teaching that's involved, and here is Madeline.
Milk.
Juice this time.
Juice.
All right.
She usually wants
We'll
milk.
be right back after our juice break. And we're back.
Yeah.
That's real life.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ellie, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it's like growing up having your older sister having a disability? What are some of those difficult moments that you would like to share? What makes it hard being a younger sister?
For an example, when we like if our whole family got together and we started laughing at a joke, she'd come in the room and say it's okay, and she started crying and stuff.
Start crying. Why do you think she gets overstimulated in like crowds of people or loud noises? That's her autism, yeah?
I think it's because maybe she thinks that we're laughing at her, and that
That could be a possibility.
or the loudness is making her, because Down syndrome people have better hearing so they can hear everything,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that noise triggers her.
It triggers it. Like
Yeah.
maybe it seems louder than what we perceive.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. People and kids have autism. They do tend to have heightened senses. So that's why, like, Madeline kind of tosses her coat at you when you're in the passenger seat of the car and she takes her coat off in the car.
And sometimes she'll lean over the car to grab her toys as she trusts the road.
Yep. She'll change her mind on which toy she wants. And it's just like finding that sensory output for her. So what do you have to do in moments like that? Do you feel like some days it's a little more frustrating, but maybe other times it's teaching you a sense of patience?
Well, it depends if it's a coat or a toy. If it's a toy, then I'll get a little frustrated, either if it's hard or soft. But if it's a coat, then that's fine.
Yeah, because it's not like going to hit you in the head, right?
No,
Yeah.
it's just soft.
So we have to like kind of be aware of what she has in the vehicle a lot of the times.
Sometimes it's really scary when she has a sippy cup.
Yeah, we don't let her have the sippy cups in the car anymore, do we?
No.
Yeah, because they've been thrown in the front seat a couple times and it'll make a loud noise while we're driving.
And sometimes it will spill a little bit of milk.
And we'll spill. Yeah. We've had several smoothies spilt in the back of the car, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are
Nightmare. Yeah, nightmare cleaning it up.
definitely. What do you kind of like about having a sibling with a disability? You know, how does it feel different?
So, normal sisters would sometimes argue about makeup and stuff, but I don't get to do that. So, she doesn't get to steal my clothes, she doesn't steal my hairbrush, she doesn't come in my room. Well, sometimes she does. One time she literally turned on my light when I was still sleeping.
Yeah, that morning she was like, "It's time to get up." She turned your light on. Yeah. Yeah. But you mean, so you don't feel like you have to have that typical sibling rivalry with your sister.
Yeah.
She's not coming and stealing your clothes and being like, "I want to wear this," or like sneaking and grabbing your lip gloss and then you don't ever know where it is and it's in your room. Yeah, you don't have to deal with that, do you?
No.
That's kind of cool though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You get to kind of have your own space and feel like it's yours.
Yeah, and sometimes we do share clothes, but I have to have your permission. Well, unless if it doesn't fit her anymore. So
Right. Yeah, y'all are about the same size. So they'll like dress like twins. They'll
yeah,
match. She still likes to match with Madeline,
yeah,
and and then sometimes they'll share clothes. So she'll let Madeline wear her sweatshirt or sweatpants or something, and then
mm,
she'll borrow a cute shirt or something from Madeline, and they still do that. Again, like Ellie said, she asks my permission. The reason being is
mm,
because Madeline can't communicate like other kids. So Ellie's had to learn how to adapt to that. She's had to watch her sister's body language versus being able for her to speak. Because for the longest time, Ellie was growing up during the phase that we were trying to get Madeline to talk. Now Madeline can say lots of words and can speak some phrases and sentences sort of independently, and we
mm,
that does make it a lot easier. But definitely around the time where she was learning to talk, she didn't really have anybody to mimic. Younger siblings will follow along and mimic their older siblings.
yeah.
And in which cases, sometimes you did. And it would get a little concerning because she would try to mimic some of Madeline's autistic behavior. What was one of them that
Doing
her
this
rocking? Yes, her rocking Sim
and crushing her teeth.
and grinding her teeth. Yep. So Ellie would start to slightly pick up on things that Madeline would do. As far as a parent's perspective, we kind of had to try to redirect Ellie because we knew Ellie didn't have a disability, and to keep her from just trying to just wanting to be she just wanted to be like her sister, but she was too little to know that she had a disability and Madeline wasn't. Some of the things that Madeline did weren't, things that Ellie needed to necessarily mimic, like
Yeah.
throwing, biting, rocking,
Sometimes scratching.
scratching, right. So we didn't want her to mimic any poor behavior that we were already trying to correct in Madeline. So, and that made it a little tricky because she would sometimes look at us and be like, well, she's doing it. I can't do it. So at the same time, we would kind of have to control both girls at the same time. So if
Yeah.
Madeline was rocking, we'd kind of have to redirect her stem while also redirecting Ellie and be like, yeah, we're not going to throw that, or we're not going to rock back and forth. Just to try to help her not develop any behaviors that could affect her in the future.
Yeah.
As Ellie got a little older was when she, I think, really started to see the difference in her and her sister,
Yeah.
especially in play. Ellie craved a lot for Madeline to play with her.
Yeah, like one time I asked Malin if she wanted to play Barbies with me, and it was fun for like a few seconds, maybe like 10, 20 seconds, and she threw the Barbie across the living room. I was like, Malin, you can't do that. You gotta
Mhm.
hold it.
Right, and Ellie didn't understand why Madeline didn't play the way she did. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of Ellie trying to pull attention from me and my husband. Play with me, do this with me, do this with me. And of course, we would play with our kids for a little while, but as adults, we have like responsibilities. So I'd have to go cook dinner, I'd have to go do the dishes or laundry or something, and I couldn't just sit and play with her for hours. And so I remember there was one time your dad finally said, "Well, why don't you just play with Madeline with your dolls?" And we realized that some things were going to have to be adjusted when it came to raising you and her together because Ellie was very little. She was probably about only 4 or 5, and she sat there after her daddy said that, and she said, "Well, I don't know how she doesn't play like me." And that kind of like, it struck our heart chords because we didn't realize that was a part of her sibling journey that she wasn't going to get to have. Other siblings do get to play and interact with each other. They get to play imagination games. They get to, I don't know, even fight, have little bickering arguments, learning how to
Mm.
communicate, being in and out of each other's spaces. And her oldest sister usually wouldn't engage much in your space, wouldn't make eye contact. Ellie would try to talk to her and she wouldn't look at her when she's speaking, so Ellie wouldn't know how to respond. She
Uh,
would think that she didn't like her, or that she didn't want to play with her, or that she just
mm.
simply didn't understand what she
And
was saying.
when I was little, I kind of got a little bit mad at Madeline because she didn't talk like us, she didn't play like us and stuff, and it made me really upset.
Mhm.
And
'Cause you didn't really understand why.
yeah, and I didn't, and I never played with her, or talked to her for about like a few years until I turned 8 or 9.
Right. So we
When
had to have several conversations, and it felt like it was too early to have conversations with Ellie about Madeline because I didn't want to like give her information that would just be thrown over her head. But when she was about 5, we did have like a sit down talk with her and explain that Madeline had Down syndrome. So we
Mm.
started with the Down syndrome. And then when we had gotten well, she was diagnosed with autism about around the time Ellie was almost 1 year old or right there after her birth. And we were still kind of figuring out the whole autism thing. So we had to not only just explain that Madeline was born with Down syndrome and all that that entailed, but then it was like we had to also explain in the most layman terms autism
Yeah.
to our 5-year-old, which there, in some cases, these behaviors and stuff don't have a particular rhyme or reason because the child can't explain why they're doing it. Like, for example, Madeline couldn't explain why she threw things. So when you're trying to explain it to another child, hey, she's throwing things because X, Y, and Z, sometimes I wouldn't have an answer for Ellie. And it would take me a long time to explain
Yeah.
to you why she did stuff because sometimes I was still learning
Yeah.
the why also. So we've kind of had to like do that together. And then as Ellie started to see that, it's okay that she's different. It's not a personal attack towards me. It's not that she doesn't like me as a sister or know how to play. I'm just going to have to kind of learn how to play and interact with her on her level.
Yeah.
And then that's when things kind of started to click. I struggled with hygiene for Madeline. She does not like having her teeth brushed or her hair brushed. She doesn't paint her fingernails or
No.
anything like that.
And she doesn't like to wear long sleeves.
Right. She's like, so there's lots of sensory issues there. And I struggle as a parent to get these things done. Basic hygiene, like cutting your fingernails and things like that too. And one time I had posted on our TikTok a video of me trying to brush Madeline's hair as a viewing point of advocacy of, hey, this is the type of moment that most people don't see. This is a behind the scenes me trying to help my child just do basic normal routine stuff. And so not only was I showing how I approached my child, I was showing the world how Madeline reacted. And then we got lots of positivity back. I'm so glad that we didn't have anybody be negative. But at the same time, we also had a lot of amazing commenters wanting Ellie to try. And they had seen Ellie interact with Madeline on our TikTok, which is also Finding the Pieces on TikTok. If you want to follow that, you can get some better visuals of the ins and outs of how Madeline talks and interacts and with the kids. But we did that. We posted a video of Ellie brushing her hair.
Yeah.
And it went vastly different. It was where I did not get to brush her hair at all.
Yeah, Madeline would just like, okay.
Yeah, and she'll swat at me. She'll hit at me and move around or like literally run away. But when Ellie did it, we had a much better response.
Yeah, I got to like brush it a few times until she threw the brush.
She finally did throw the brush, but you can see in the video it's not out of anger. It's just kind of like, yeah, I don't want you to do that anymore. Let's get this thing out of here. But if you watch Ellie, she's super patient with how her sister reacted. And these are things that she's had to learn to grow and realize are just necessary when you live sort of a different life than average person.
Yeah.
So how did you feel when you got to help her that initial time with the hair brushing? Did that feel good?
It felt pretty good getting to do something with my sister that other sisters get to do. Although she did take the brush out of my hand and throw it, but other than that, it felt really nice getting to do something with her.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
not having her to get to throw a tantrum and try
Yeah.
to attack me.
Right. Yeah. She didn't melt down on you or anything. So that make you feel proud that you were like the person she let do that for you.
Yeah.
From you. Yeah. Eventually it grew into you being able to help her with other things or you representing things that she could do too. So what kind of happened there is it's kind of like y'all switched roles.
Yeah.
In a way, Madeline is the older sister, but Ellie ended up kind of naturally falling into an older sister role unnaturally.
Yeah.
We still try to treat Madeline like the older sibling, like the big sister. We call her the big sister, and we want others to engage with Madeline as the big sister.
Mhm.
But the reality is that she is mentally younger than Ellie. And she definitely needs more physical assistance. And so once Ellie saw that, she realized that she could be a bit of a helping hand and a great example for her sister. She got her sister to brush her teeth by Ellie brushing her teeth and Ellie encouraging her that it was fun, making it sound like a good idea, a cool thing to do, and then Madeline mimicked you, right?
Yeah, and sometimes we were younger, you usually brush her hair in the bathtub sometimes, and she would get overstimulated because, she doesn't like her hair being brushed.
Yeah, she doesn't like it being brushed.
And I had to sing Baby Shark.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember our singing Baby Shark moments because the music would calm her. And so her sister would sing Baby Shark doo doo. And you was so
Yeah.
cute. And you would do the hand motions and it would be distracting her while I brushed her hair.
Yeah, and sometimes Mom would be washing Maddie's hair, and sometimes Mom would tell me, like, stick your head under the faucet, because she was doing Madeline's hair. My hair's thick and it takes longer, so sometimes I had to stick my head under the faucet.
Yeah. So you kind of had to do some things independently without my assistance because I was assisting Madeline. That's hard. I'm sure
Yeah.
other siblings who have siblings with special needs go through a similar concept of kind of having to be more independent before they're ready, maybe. How does that make you feel?
It makes me sometimes feel a little good, sometimes a little bit frustrated.
Sure. So you
Mm.
feel proud of yourself for being able to accomplish independent tasks, but
Yeah.
at the same time, do you feel a little bit like some of that little kidness doesn't get to be as enjoyable because you kind of have
No.
to be a bigger kid?
Yeah, it feels really different. Like at a young age, you have to start doing stuff on your own with a autistic and Down syndrome sister. It's really hard.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you're being honest about that. It's probably not easy opening up about your emotions when it comes to your sister because you
It's
love
not.
her,
Yeah,
but at the same time, that is the reality, isn't
yeah.
it?
I had to start doing more stuff. Like my mom's favorite food is cheese and chips, and she asks for it 24/7. Sometimes Mom would do it. Sometimes I had to do it because she was really tired after work, or sometimes I had to Mom would do the medicine, and sometimes I had to pour the milk.
Yeah, you started kind of having to help me,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I'm 10 and I still can't open her sippy cups.
Yeah, you still need help opening the cups and the jar of cheese. Well, sometimes I need help opening the jar of cheese. Stuff is raw. It builds our muscles. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And I did have this one good moment where I hanged out with my sister and I read her a book, and I did like 2 or 3 pages, and she like ran out because she has like a row of books, and she'd pick one and I read it, and she'd go back again, get another book.
Yeah, and she kept wanting you to read different books, but you couldn't even get finished with the first one before
No.
she would get another one.
No, just 2 or 3 pages and then off to the next one.
But that just shows how much patience you have gained growing up with a sister like that. I'm sure other siblings may not have that much patience. They're anticipating reading or playing something and then they change their mind. And then they change their mind again. And you just kind of thought it was funny in that moment.
I started to laugh a little bit.
Yeah,
It was
because
really
Madeline has lots of silly moments. She's super funny and she cracks us up all the time.
Yeah.
She sometimes she'll sing or she'll be hollering in the car, and me and Ellie will get tickled at the things that she says or the things that she's singing in the car.
Yeah, and one time she was saying, what's the matter when she gets overstimulated? Yes, we got a little annoyed, but when we got home, Mom said that I'm going to write a song about that.
Yeah, so we're probably going to create a rap called What's the Matter? What's the Matter? Because that's what she'll do. But we have to find joy in the little things. Like
Mhm.
when we do get frustrated, when those moments are hard and reality hits us, we do have to find joy in something somewhere.
Yeah.
No. And Ellie does really good with that. As young as she is and as many difficult things as she has to go through, she does do a great job.
Yeah.
But it is hard. And the reality of it is that you've had to watch your parents, teach and do and attend to your sister, probably what feels like a little more than you. I
Yeah.
remember you came to me about it one time. You want to
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah, well, there was one time where mom was giving Madeline more hugs and kisses. Cause, yeah, mom usually gives us hugs and kisses before we go to bed. And one time I noticed mom, like, doing more kisses and hugs than us. And it kind of made me feel a little upset and confused. Cause, like, why does she give her mother hugs and kisses? And I asked mom and we had a conversation about it, and it was the only way for her and mom to have communication and a bond together. Because Madeline, she can talk, but she doesn't know how to communicate like that. So they do that to communicate and bond.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I explained to you because what Ellie saw was me laying with Madeline in the bed, and I was giving her hugs, and I was cuddling her, turning her show on before I left to tell her good night. And I do lay in there with her for a little bit because I don't get to have back and forth conversation with Madeline. So a way I feel like I can express my love is cuddles. It's a little more physical.
Yeah.
So I'll physically hold her and hug her and give her kisses on the cheek. And I'll tell her how proud I am of her. And I don't get a response back.
Yeah.
On occasion, she'll say, I love you, or something like that,
Or good night.
or good night. But she doesn't get to have moments with me where I can just sit on her bed with her like a typical teenage girl and say, girlfriend, how was your day? Who were you talking to today? How was your class? How was this? She doesn't get to come to me and tell me how she feels or what her favorite things going on in her life are, like Ellie can.
Yeah.
Me and Ellie can sit on the side of the bed at night before she goes to bed, and I can say, how was dance class? She tells me about it. She tells me the things that she's working on, how she felt she did. We talk about school. We talk about just pretty much anything and everything. Her
Yeah.
feelings, how she's feeling about things, her goals. And so our bonding is not as physical. I still give Ellie big hugs and kisses and tuck her into bed at night, but is that physicality quite as long as Madeline's? No, not necessarily, but I get to sit for at least a good hour and talk with my daughter.
Yeah.
So that's where she was kind of misunderstanding the attention. And other siblings will do the same. I've heard of parents talk about sibling jealousy against the sibling that has the disability because they do visually see you being more attentive.
Yeah.
Also, children with disabilities, especially like autism and things, their behaviors and stuff are inconsistent. They are kind of on their own time. So you could be planning to do something
Mm.
and that get cut right in the middle
Yeah.
because they immediately need something right now or they're going to melt down. And you're
Uh.
forced to get up from maybe a conversation with one of your children to go help the other child.
Yeah.
And then you try to come back, but maybe you get interrupted again. Or maybe what you're having to help that disabled child with ends up taking longer. Like a little while ago, I had to go help her to the restroom. It wasn't just, we've got to get juice. It was, we've got to get juice. We've got to pick this up, and then I've got to take her to the restroom. And it ended up being a little longer than I anticipated. And you have the other kid over here waiting patiently for you to come back.
Yeah.
Finish doing with that child what you were doing. And that's so hard as a parent. It's so hard being just stretched thin and you're being pulled in a million different directions and it's exhausting. And then so it's also very easy to take some of that anger and frustration out on the child that's more capable.
Yeah.
Because you're going to naturally expect more out of them.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I catch myself expecting a little too much. out of Ellie and her brother, only because I have to still almost do every single thing for Madeline. And what I mean by that is she needs assistance to the restroom. She needs assistance being put to bed. She needs her food made. She sometimes needs to be helped being fed. I have to bathe her and do all of the hygiene like we were talking about, fingernail cutting, hair brushing. She can dress herself now. And yes, she does independently eat. It's only like a couple different maybe types of foods we monitor so she don't spill it. But other
Yeah.
than that, she's gotten independent with that. But, we're not just talking about right now and how much more independent she's gotten. We're talking about like Ellie's whole life here. So there were
Yeah.
times where Madeline, during the time that I needed to be attentive to Ellie, and
Mhm.
she wasn't quite as capable as she is now,
Yeah.
Madeline was super incapable. Like she really needed all of the assistance. And so it's rough balancing your attention between each child and making sure that you're given the equality and the love and the attention divided up, without you losing your mind and without you accidentally taking out the frustration of how hard it is to care and serve a child that needs every ounce of your energy.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to turn around and kind of lay a little bit of that frustration on your other kids. And so
Yeah.
I highly advise taking time for yourself. I spoke about that in my last episode, is just trying to remain calm, is super key. We're only human. We're still going to get upset. We're still going to get frustrated at things.
Yeah.
And yes, my other kids do know that I expect them to be capable. So there are moments where I will put my foot down and I'm like, nope, you have 2 arms and you have 2 legs. You can get up and go do that yourself. And if I have to remember that if I baby them, they won't be as capable. That was a thing that I also had to adjust, because sometimes it could be the other way around. Sometimes
Mhm.
when your first child is disabled, you become this helicopter mom and you really get into the sense of like doing everything for this child because they do actually need you to do everything for them, right?
Yeah, when they're little.
When they're little, right? So then you have another child, and even though they're not disabled, your mom mode is helicopter mom. And so
Yeah.
you're going to hover over them. I had Ellie call me out on it one time. I was having her help me with the dishes, and I
Yeah.
started like micromanaging how she was doing the dishes. And she looked at me and she was like, "Why do you ask me to do this when you like know I can do it? Why do you have to explain it a million
I know how to
times?"
do the dishes. I don't need help.
Right. Like she did. She totally straight up called me out on it. She's like, "I don't appreciate you like hovering over me and kind of like giving me the directions on how to wash the dishes when you know I know how to
Yeah, I've
wash
been.
the dishes." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Ellie, I'm so sorry. I apologize to you because that was me being that helicopter mom,
Yeah.
because I told Ellie, I was like, you don't realize I've had to do everything for Madeline forever, like all the things. And so it naturally made me kind of try and mother her that way too, which is also risky,
Yeah.
because if I try to micromanage her independence, she's not going to be able to be independent. I'm going to send her in the wrong direction. We want Madeline to be independent and we want Ellie and her brother David to be independent. So it's like finding this fine line between how we can co-parent these individuals who are vastly different, see the world differently. And I think it just takes getting to know each child, get to know your children, get to know what they like and what drives them and motivates them, and find out, what discourages them, what hurts their feelings, and avoid that negative energy.
Yeah.
Madeline really does not like discipline that involves negativity, does she?
Yeah, like if someone's like crying or upset,
Yeah, or yelling.
yeah, Madeline would immediately, like, for an example, rush in the kitchen and say, "What's the matter? What's the matter? You okay?"
Yeah, are you
And
okay? Are you
yeah,
okay?
and sometimes she would, if she had an animal, sometimes she'll like hit us or do something. In her mind, she's like being gentle and stuff, but to us, she's
Being a little more aggressive. Right.
yeah,
So it's because she's hurt that she doesn't want you to be hurting, right? She doesn't want you to be upset or angry, but she doesn't know how to respond to your emotion,
yeah,
right?
and
And so
she can
sometimes it puts them a little bit in the danger zone. Ellie or David has been being disciplined. Like, because I still have to be a typical kid mom on top of being a disabled child's
Yeah,
mom.
sometimes you gotta yell at them.
Right. Sometimes I have to be like, no, don't do that. Like, I'll have to kind of fuss at them and be like, no, we can't do that. And then my voice being a little louder and intent towards them, trying to give them direction, right? And discipline.
Yeah.
Then is counterintuitive to Madeline. So if Madeline hears me being disciplinary to her siblings, she gets very upset.
Yeah, she can feel the negative energy
In the room, yeah, and she'll want it to stop. And sometimes that causes her to lash out and hit the person.
Yeah, like one time our siblings had to get the blood drawn at the doctor.
Yeah, David had to get his blood drawn recently at the doctor.
And
he's never had that done before, and he was a little scared, so he wanted his mom. So I sat on the table with him to hold his hand, and Ellie was sitting with Madeline.
Yeah, Madeline and me were just sitting, and as soon as Dave was like, Madeline got up, and I immediately knew she was going to attack those nurses. And I immediately run in front of her, holding her so that she doesn't run into the doctors like a football player.
Yeah, you really did. Yeah, Ellie knew the assignment. She knows her sister well.
Yeah.
And she knew that once Madeline got up, she was ready to attack those nurses because they made her little brother cry.
Yeah.
Madeline, for one, even though it was a very intense situation in the doctor's office that day, her intention was to protect her brother.
Yeah.
But two, she doesn't know how to control her emotions or why David was crying.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't get to explain things to Madeline like I can explain to Ellie. I can look at Ellie and say, your brother's going to get his blood drawn. He might get upset.
Okay.
You can look away. And she's going to be like, okay.
But when it goes to Madeline, no matter how many times you tell her, she won't understand. I mean, she understands, but not in a way that we do.
Yeah. She understands where she's at. She understands that some things are going on. Like, she knew she was at the doctor that day. She doesn't want to be the patient. She wanted to assist, though. She was trying to take David's blood pressure with the blood pressure cuff, but she wasn't getting her blood pressure taken.
She was being the nurse.
Absolutely not. No, she was not having that. But then it's also hard doing things like that, too. Medical needs and assistance is necessary for all of us, so especially including Madeline.
Yeah.
Madeline also had to get her blood drawn that day, and her siblings have to be in the room. It's a very intense moment for young children to watch anything traumatic.
Yeah.
And I will agree that having a team of 5 nurses and your mom
having to hold your child down, just going to get a blood drawn, it's really scary for us because I don't like seeing my sister being held down.
Yeah, and it's hard for them. So what do you do in those moments?
Well, I'm really nervous and scared for her,
But y'all usually turn and look away, don't you?
Yeah. And we can hear her crying and stuff.
But they can still hear her crying, yes. And so it's hard. They can help regulate their own emotions when it comes to being scared. If Ellie has to get a shot or get her teeth looked at, she's able to kind of manage those feelings, and she can tell me, Mom, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm scared. And I can talk to her verbally to help calm her and keep her in the moment with me and let her know that I'm there with her.
Yeah.
Madeline, there's no explaining that. There's no reassurance. There's no sense of time frame either. Like, I can tell Ellie it's only going to hurt for a second. And Ellie can comprehend the length of a second. Like, oh, boop, it'll be done. Right?
But I'm still
and
scared.
That can help her see the end. Madeline doesn't see the end.
No.
Madeline doesn't know how long this pain is going to last, what it's for, or why it's necessary.
Yeah, in her mind, it feels like it's forever.
It's there's just this pain. I don't know what's happening. It is very scary. It's extremely hard as a parent. If you've ever had to hold your own child down, you know how gut-wrenching it is. It's extremely traumatic. I've been having to do it for so many years that I now just appreciate the teams of doctors, nurses, dentists, of those teams of people that have gotten to know me, that have gotten to know my daughter and help us in those situations to just get in, get it done, and not be playing around.
Yeah.
It's those timid doctors and those timid nurses that elongate it and make it a process because they're avoiding just getting in and getting it done. And even though it's hard, it's really necessary because the quicker we can get it over, the quicker it can be done. And so I've just gotten to a point where I appreciate the teams coming in there and getting it done. It was fast that day. It's probably the fastest we'd got our blood drawn, I think. Yeah, that nurse, they had pulled one of the nurses who drew the blood like the quickest. And man, it was one stick. One stick, we got in, we got out, and it was done. It was her heart. It was rough. But those are things that they have to go through that their kids don't have to go through.
And I feel bad for my siblings because they had to get their blood drawn, and I only had to get a finger poke.
Yeah, you didn't have to go through any of that day, did you?
To be honest, I wish I did.
Yeah.
So that way I know what it felt like.
Oh, you would have shared the pain? Yeah. You would have rather you got a shot than your brother and sister?
Yeah.
Oh, bless your heart. You're so sweet, Ellie.
Yeah.
So, what do you think having a special needs sibling has taught you? It's taught you to be more patient and realize that we may not know why she's doing that.
Yeah.
But getting mad at her is not going to help the situation, right?
And it also taught me how to do more stuff with her. Being with her for 10 years, it taught me some pretty good skills of knowing when she's gonna do something. Like we said at the doctor, when she jumped up, I immediately knew what to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Even if it caused me to have a bruise or not, I jumped
right. You jumped in the line of fire, and even if she was going to hit you, you were protecting her and you were protecting other people in the room.
Yeah.
That's very brave. That's extremely brave. I think she's taught you bravery and confidence for sure. Most definitely. Yeah.
It was a little tiny bit scary having to hold my sister.
Yeah. It's not really something that you would ever want your child to have to do. I would never intentionally put you in a situation like that. But unfortunately, because your older sister does have a disability, it's the role that you play.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were put in that position for a reason?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. You think you're her sister for a reason?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, too.
I don't think anyone else would do a better job than me.
Oh, I like that confidence. That's right. That's what I want to hear. So if you were going to advise other kids who may have a sibling like yours, like Madeline, what advice would you give them?
I would give them that even if it's hard sometimes, you should always treat your siblings like other people, even if they may be different, like if they have autism syndrome. But if they ever do have something like that, you should always be patient with them. Don't get mad with them. Don't yell at them just over the littlest things. Treat your siblings right and make sure that you take care of your siblings, even if you're the middle or youngest.
Showing respect and love to your siblings, no matter how much different they are than you. That's incredible. That's coming from a 10-year-old little girl. I think we can learn a lot from you today, Ellie. You're very impressive. So encouraging their other children to get involved with their special needs sibling and show them what strong roles they have in playing a part of the family can make them not feel quite so jealous. So me encouraging you to help your sister with her hair and be a role model for your sister. Did that help you feel like you had a purpose with your sibling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you can, as a parent, encourage your children who don't have special needs to get involved with maybe some of the helping with the child with the disability. By any means, don't intentionally put them in harm's way. Obviously, you know your children best, and if your child with a disability has any behaviors that could cause harm to smaller children, that's not something that I would advise. It depends on your child's disability and the ages of the children in your home as to how you can help them manage. I will advise parent to parent, go ahead and explain to your kids, regardless of age, what their sibling's diagnosis is in the simplest form you can think of. There are lots of resources now online and on YouTube where it has little cartoons that explains autism or it explains Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And that's an easy way that kids can learn how their children's minds or bodies may be different from theirs, but that's okay. And you, as a parent, need to realize that no matter how young your child is, they understand communication. may a vice versa, your child with a disability, and they understand what you say, even
Yeah.
if you do have to say it a couple times. Me and Ellie didn't just have one conversation
Yeah.
about what Down syndrome
We
was.
had several
We had
conversations.
several conversations about what Down syndrome was and
Yeah.
what autism was. I would be happy to answer it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
That way she better understood, because the more she understands, the more she is going to be able to respond, react appropriately to her sister.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same way with your kids. Explain that diagnosis, explain what that means, and then also explain your actions. I had to
Yeah.
explain to Ellie that I have to be more physically nurturing with Madeline for her to know that I'm there for her, that she is safe, that she is loved, that she is cared for, by giving hugs, by sitting with her on the couch, by singing songs. And these are things that you think you do with a baby. And yes, it kind of is. And Ellie craves that attention too. But what Ellie didn't realize is that she was getting all of my full-fledged attention, but in some other outlets, like forms of communication. Or like in times where I take her to her dance competitions, and those are things that I don't get to do with Madeline. And that's when Ellie saw, wow, yeah, I do get to do these things, but my sister doesn't. Even though my sister gets to do things that maybe I don't always get to do, we're equal in some way when it comes to love and attention from our parents.
Yeah, like if we were like going clothes shopping, she wouldn't be able to try on clothes.
Right.
And sometimes she would just like pick up like a random giant, like, pretty.
And then she'll just throw it.
Yeah.
And we don't know what she likes or what she doesn't like.
Yeah.
But we try our best to take her shopping.
Yeah,
We
like,
still take her everywhere that we go to do all the things that we do. We do our Home Depot trips.
Yeah.
We do our Walmart trips, our Target and Starbucks trips. Hey,
Yeah.
she loves her cake pops. She got to have a cake pop. We'll get on the exit to the Target, and Madeline goes, cake pop? Cake pop?
Yeah.
She knows where we're going, doesn't
Yeah.
she? Yeah, she knows it. That's how smart she is. You can't get nothing past her. Sometimes that's a little bit of misinterpretation. That was a thing I had to definitely teach my other kids about Madeline, is that just because she doesn't talk back to you does not mean that she does not understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
And that was a big key point. And once my other kids realized that, they really started engaging with Madeline more and talking to her more and including her more, because it wasn't that she just didn't understand anything because she didn't talk.
Yeah.
Once they realized, oh, I can tell Madeline, hey, come here, let's play with this. Let's go get on the trampoline. Let's go swing on the swing. She'll come, she'll understand, even if she doesn't say, okay, that sounds great, or has some kind of like verbal response back.
Yeah.
Y'all learned that, yeah, she understands.
Like we said before, Madeline would copy me. Like Madeline has a swing in our Grammy's backyard, and that's her swing.
That's her swing.
Yeah, but sometimes I would sneak and swing on it, and when she found out, she was like,
Kicked you out of her swing, didn't she?
yeah.
That's the way she is with the swing in our backyard, too. Once she's in it, nobody else gets to sit in it.
And I know I tell her like 1,000 times, Madeline, can I sit in there? She's like,
no.
She don't care. She just keeps on swinging.
She just keeps going.
And
yeah.
I had to pick another seat.
Yeah. We do kind of have, she is a little bit of the center of our world, I will say. She, but that's where we try to make sure that our other kids have activities and things going on so that they also are the center of that world, because Madeline needs so much attention, and because Madeline is so very OCD with her behaviors and is very repetitive and very stuck in a routine. It gets our other kids that way too.
Yeah.
Ellie had to grow up watching the same show over and over and over again. Ellie was stuck listening to the same songs in the car over and over and over.
We would literally have to constantly listen to Poker Face and having to...
Thank you, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, and we would also have, at our Grammys, sometimes I would try to whisper to our grandma, like, I don't want to watch Coraline. And Coraline.
Yeah, she is obsessed with Coraline. She does love The Parent Trap with
Oh, yeah.
with Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
She has these particular shows. She was obsessed with Strawberry Shortcake.
Even though she doesn't watch the movie.
That's all Ellie grew up watching pretty much was Strawberry Shortcake.
Even if I tried to watch a different movies, like, oh, yeah, one time I was trying to find a movie on Disney, and she also watches Ice Age a few times.
She loves Ice Age.
Yeah, and she saw Ice Age. I was like, our TV hangs, but sometimes at our Grammy, it has
lower.
To stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she would point and tap the screen because she wants to pick that movie. And for us, we have to like, oh, Grammy, I want that one. She has to
touch it. She has to physically touch
she's like,
she's broken a couple TVs, hasn't she?
Yeah, one time she threw a jar of cheese and broke it. And she also broke her DVD player.
Yeah. We've had lots of things broken. You've had some of your things broken, misplaced.
Yeah, we had to share rooms when we were little because David was born. I had his room, but when he was born,
they had to shift, and so the girls were in a room together, and they had their little twin beds. It was fun for a while. Y'all had bunk beds and stuff.
Yeah,
that was fun.
It started not becoming fun.
But she would break your things, right? Yeah. She would get your stuff and sometimes put it in her mouth, and you started to get anxiety about your sister getting a hold of your things. Yeah,
because one time our brother swallowed an earring, and when Mom told me that story, it made me worried about my sister having to do stuff like that.
Worried about her choking.
And even like if she just picked something up, I was like, no, don't do that. And I had to stop myself. Even if she wasn't trying to put it in her mouth, it still made me anxious because I didn't want to put anything in her mouth.
Ellie started packing her small toys in all these bags, and I had to stop Ellie from bagging up her things to keep them from her sister because she had gotten so nervous that her sister was going to choke on something. Madeline was diagnosed with pica, where you eat things that are not edible. And Madeline did get to a point where she was eating Ellie's puzzle pieces, which I've mentioned in other episodes, but and had got like a bowel blockage, and it is scary. We did have to take her to the hospital for that because you don't anticipate your child eating cardboard or paper, and so you know, you do walk out of the room while they're putting a puzzle together. Like, and Ellie loved puzzles for the longest time.
Yeah.
She loved to put together little puzzles, and she'd pull out her box of puzzles and be sitting and doing them, and pieces would go missing. And I remember walking in, and we were like, why is this puzzle piece wet? You know, did you spill some on it? And that's when we came to the realization that she was eating cardboard.
Yeah.
So Ellie did develop some anxiety when it came to her things because she was worried that her sister was going to choke.
Yeah,
that's not a responsibility you want to fall on your child. So it's hard as a parent to like see your child becoming a little anxiety ridden over things that are a little bit out of your control. Like I can't take things away from her. I have to monitor what she's doing and what Madeline's getting a hold of for safety reasons.
Yeah.
And so that got to be really hard. But I will say Ellie's always been super patient and understanding and has always done a great job coming to me and asking me questions about things, sharing her emotions, sharing her feelings, and just being very real.
Yeah.
You're a very real young lady. You know how to express what you need to express and get your point across. And I do my best to hopefully help you as a mom. I hope I do.
Yeah, you do.
Thanks.
And speaking of broken things, I have a lot of glass things in my room. And I had a pink shelf. We had bunk beds, and I got the top bunk. And I had this shelf full of glass people. And before I got anxiety of her putting things in her mouth, she would sometimes go up to my glass things without me knowing and getting one and throwing it.
And you liked your little porcelain glass things. Ellie does have a little knack for little antique glass things. I was kind of like that as a little girl. I think you got
Yeah.
that from me. I
Yeah.
had little tiny porcelain or little glass like ballerinas and stuff.
And I do have glass baby dolls.
And so we did end up having to separate their rooms once we realized that Ellie was needing some more space and it was causing her anxiety to be with right in the same room with her sister as far as her eating things, because Ellie liked to play with small toys and
Yeah.
again, like she said, like to have delicate things in her room, and these were things that Madeline just still, even though she was older than Ellie, you still couldn't have in her vicinity.
She would still throw them.
She would throw things. She still threw things and put things in her mouth. And so as far as her mental stability goes, being at about 3, and then you've got Ellie who was like 7, 8, I couldn't just be buying 3-year-old toys for my 8-year-old just because her sister couldn't be around 8-year-old toys and trinkets and decor like she was getting into. So we did have to split them up and get them their own rooms so that Ellie could have her more mature items in her room and Madeline could also be safe in her room and have her stuffies and her things that she stems. She has her spin chair. She has a big bed that she rocks on. She's got her station for her books that she likes to look through, and sometimes she just takes them out and stacks them up and organizes them.
Or sometimes she had to throw them or rip the pages.
Or sometimes she'll pull out her favorite pages and carry them around the house.
Yeah.
But that did make it a little easier. And then once Ellie did definitely have her own space, and I totally understand there's probably some parents out here who don't have the space in their home to be able to divide up their children and them all have separate bedrooms. And I totally get it. But that was one thing that did help Ellie, was making sure that she had her own space and that Madeline had her own safe space for her sensory output. We let them paint them their own colors. Ellie wanted to paint hers pink. And so we made sure that it felt like her special place. And then we did Madeline's like a turquoise. Madeline loves bright colors and mermaids. We did have things hanging on the wall.
Yeah, like
she pulled those off pretty quick.
Yeah, we had a few pictures and like sometimes we put like those little board things like mermaid or something on that.
Or any wall decor. It doesn't matter what it is. It's coming off the wall.
And one time we had those mirrors that show your whole body.
Yep, we liked having the mirror in there because she likes looking at her reflection.
Yeah, every time we go to Walmart, and sometimes we would go through the mirror section, she would just sit and look at herself.
Yeah, we can't go through a mirror section at a store or she won't leave that aisle.
She'll just sit and look at herself.
And see, and you're so knowledgeable of your sister. You watch all of her mannerisms and you watch all the things that she does and you almost know her actions before they're even going to happen. And that's truly amazing. It's really awesome to watch. So yeah, thank you for being on the show today, Ellie. We appreciate all of your advice and all the stories that you had to share about your sister. We can tell that you love her very much, even on the days that are hard.
Yeah.
And you just always try to push through and do your best and be your best for everybody around you, not just yourself. And that's truly, truly inspiring. We hope we have encouraged you today to take a few notes from this podcast so that you can help your children with disabilities, but most definitely take into consideration the feelings and environments and situations that your other children are going through who are also being raised alongside a child with special needs. Dividing that love evenly as much as possible without losing our minds.
Yeah.
We're all here doing our best and we're all humans. Thank you all for joining us today on episode 3 of Finding the Pieces. We will see you all next week and y'all have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.